James Turner. The simple guy was facing the hardest time of his life. People he knew were passing one by one. What made it strange was that he was beneficiary of all of them life insurance policies. 7 of James Turner's friends, co-workers, and family members died in strange ways. Murders or accidental deaths. What is mystery of 7 deaths? Entire relation to James Turner. Why was he beneficiary in all of them? Jim Turner was a man known for his friendly nature, his strong work ethic and considerate nature. He would go out of his way to help his neighbors. He used to use his snowblower to clear the sidewalks, especially for those who couldn't do it themselves. People on his street remembered him as a strict but caring father who always prioritized the well-being of his children. Jim's routine included going to bed early so he could wake up refreshed and ready to put in long hours at work. Truly hardworking man. But on January 22, 1975, James Turner was taken into custody by the police. They arrested him because they believed he killed his 20-year-old brother-in-law. White D. James Turner's for life insurance policy named Turner as the beneficiary. Was James Turner really a good man? Or was there a murderer behind his seemingly good behavior? Victim number 1. Disappearances of John Lewis Brown, a co-worker. In June 1964, something puzzling happened to one of James Turner's co-workers. At the Nabisco plant in Rochester, a man named John Lewis Brown disappeared, and no one could find him. What made it even stranger was that there was a $5,000 life insurance policy in Brown's name. And James Turner was the person who would get the money if something happened to Brown. Here's the twist. Since Brown's body was never found, it's not clear if James Turner ever received the money from the insurance policy, as there was no proof that Brown was actually dead. Victim number 2. Frank C. Alden. Shot on back of his head of a co-worker. On November 19, 1968. The tragic event unfolded. Frank C. Alden, an 18-year-old colleague of James Turner's at the General Motors plant in Rochester, was discovered dead. The victim of a murder. C. Alden's family members informed authorities that Turner had intended to co-sign a car loan for him. The purpose of this loan was to facilitate the purchase of a life insurance policy, which would have covered the loan in case of C. Alden's untimely death. Tragically, before Frank C. Alden could secure the life insurance policy linked to the car loan, he was found dead with a gunshot wound in the back of his head. On the day of his murder, relatives disclosed that he had $400 with him, which he had intended to use for buying the car, and presumably covering the associated insurance. Victim number 3. William Bradwell, again a co-worker. In May 1969, the horrific discovery shook the community, as the partially decapitated body of 23-year-old General Motors employee William Bradwell was recovered from the Genesee River. What's noteworthy is that once again, Bradwell was a co-worker of James Turner, and he had also named Turner as the beneficiary of his life insurance policy. James Turner as the beneficiary of his $5,000 life insurance policy. In this particular case, it was established that Turner did, in fact, receive the benefits from the policy, as it was not clear before. Victim number 4. The suicide of a Lewis McDowell. On December 2, 1969, a man named Lewis McDowell, age 29, was discovered dead in his garage due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and it was officially recorded as a suicide. However, it was noted that just before his passing, he had made a change to the beneficiary on a company life insurance policy, designating his co-worker, Jim Turner, as the beneficiary. This is certainly the point where suspicions began to arise. This pattern of Turner being named as the beneficiary and multiple life insurance policies connected to people who died raised significant suspicions. This made the authorities look into it more closely. Victim number 5. Horace Everett and his sudden change with beneficiary of $9,000 life insurance policy. Again a co-worker of James. In July of 1971, a General Motors employee named Horace Everett made a significant change to his $9,000 life insurance policy. He switched the beneficiary from his wife's name to James Turner, his co-worker. During those summer months, there were secret meetings between Everett and Turner at the Everett home. Mrs. Everett became increasingly concerned and pleaded with her husband to reconsider whatever plan they had concocted, believing it was wrong, especially for the sake of their children. Despite his wife's pleas, Everett remained determined and told her he would be meeting with Turner the following day, believing they would become wealthy. Tragically, he never returned home that night, and his body was discovered the next day behind an abandoned factory. He had gunshot wound, right side of his skull blown apart by a shotgun. Everett left behind 3 small children and a 4th child who was born 2 months after his death. Metropolitan Life Insurance Company had suspicious of sudden beneficiary change. They refused to pay James Turner after their investigation revealed it had been obtained improperly and fraudulently. Instead, Everett's wife received $6,750 as the co-beneficiary, along with an additional $4,500 from an accidental death clause. Despite facing suspicion from insurance investigators and the police, Turner sued the life insurance company and engaged in a legal battle with Everett's widow. However, by 1973, he dropped the lawsuit as too many questions were being raised about the death of Horace Everett and Turner's potential involvement in the case. A month before Everett's murder, Turner moved his family into a newly built 2-story 3-bedroom house in a new subdivision, constructed to his specifications. He and his wife furnished the $40,000 home, equivalent to $233,000 now, with new furniture. During the legal dispute with the insurance company, Turner's brother-in-law, Dwight Dees, moved into the home and attended community college. This is where Turner got his next victim. In the fall of 1974, Dwight resumed premium payments on a $50,000 life insurance policy he had previously dropped due to financial constraints related to his education expenses. Victim number 6. The death of Dwight, a brother-in-law of Turner, and his sudden resumption of life insurance policy he dropped long time ago. On January 21, 1975, the car that Dwight had borrowed and was driving that night was discovered crashed, and it was positioned with the front end pointing downward at the bottom of a steep 20-foot slope. Inside the car, law enforcement officers discovered Dwight's lifeless body with cut of head. During their search of the area, investigators came across a blood that led them to several significant pools of blood behind an old barn located several hundred feet away. It was obvious to them that someone nearly cut off the boy's head behind the barn and then dragged the body back to the car in order to make it look like an accident. The investigation swiftly led the police to James Turner, who was arrested on suspicion of murder the day after the discovery of Dwight's body. Following Turner's arrest, an insurance agent saw the news coverage on television and contacted the police, pointing out that their suspect had a significant financial motive, with $50,000 in life insurance linked to his wife's youngest brother. A few days later, the police located a machete that Turner had used in the brutal attack on the young man's neck. The thorough investigation by the police soon revealed that the intricate web of insurance connections between Turner and the deaths of John Lewis Brown, Frank C. Alden, William Bradwell, and Lewis McDowell. In the case of Horace Everett, Turner had already emerged as the prime suspect, even though the police lacked concrete evidence at that time. Victim number 7. Sister's death in 1963. When authorities dived deeper into James Turner's history, they discovered that he had collected $2,500 from 2 life insurance policies after his sister tragically suffocated on April 14, 1963. At the time, James was living with his sister, but he was not present at home when the fire started. However, He wasted no time in filing to collect the insurance benefits just one day after her tragic death. Investigative files related to this incident revealed some suspicious details. Turner had called the insurance agent a few days before the fire to cancel his own insurance policies and to verify that his sister's policies were still in effect. Additionally, at that time, Turner was employed at a hospital, leading police to speculate that he may have stolen pills from the hospital, which he might have used to drug his sister before setting the fire and departing the scene. This information raised significant concerns about Turner's involvement in his sister's demise. Family members also shared troubling information with the police regarding two other relatives in Florida who had passed away in what were initially considered accidents. However, in light of the evidence and Turner's suspicious activities, these family members began to doubt about the true nature of these deaths. These revelations further deepened the mystery surrounding James Turner and his possible involvement in a series of tragic incidents. Despite the extensive investigation and the absence of sufficient evidence, James Turner opted to enter a plea of not guilty. Nevertheless, the judge, likely considering the seriousness of the allegations and the potential risk, issued an order to keep him in custody without the option of bail. Was James Turner really a good man? Or was there a murderer behind his seemingly good behavior? I guess we never know.